Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? Today we're going to tackle AI frameworks.
Sounds fun.
Super practical stuff. We're looking at this article, Top 10 AI Frameworks from AI Magazine, just came out last month. We'll break it down so you can really get a handle on each framework, what makes them tick, you know.
You know what struck me at that article? It's how they emphasize software. It's like the unsung hero of AI's impact on businesses.
Oh yeah, totally.
Frameworks and libraries, they're the things that make AI actually usable for like any company, not just the tech giants.
Right. It feels like AI is finally getting out of the hype phase and into actual real-world applications.
Exactly. It's about companies actually using this stuff to optimize their work, to make decisions based on data, even getting a leg up on their competition, all because of software.
Okay, so let's jump right in. This top 10 list, we're going from number 10 down to number 1, just like the article. And kicking things off is PyTorch.
Ah, PyTorch, a favorite for researchers and developers.
Yeah, why is that?
This thing's got a dynamic computational graph.
Okay, break that down for me. What's so special about that?
Well, unlike other frameworks that use static graphs, right, PyTorch lets you change the network on the fly while it's running.
So it's like, I don't know, being able to adjust your recipe as you're cooking instead of having to stick to a rigid set of instructions.
Perfect analogy. That flexibility makes PyTorch really intuitive, especially for building and training those complex neural networks, especially in research where you're always trying new things.
I can see that. And the article mentioned that it integrates seamlessly with Python.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Big plus for both, seasoned developers and people who are just getting into AI.
Absolutely. Python's everywhere. It makes PyTorch really accessible.
So what are people actually using it for?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Computer vision, natural language processing, even reinforcement learning, those cool generative models that are all the rage. PyTorch can handle it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
At number 9, we've got Scikit-Learn. This one's a familiar name in the machine learning world.
Oh, yes. Scikit-Learn is a classic, and for good reason.
What makes it so great?
It's a Python library jam-packed with tools for data mining and analysis.
Sounds powerful.
Incredibly user-friendly, too, especially for beginners.
That's always a good thing. But, with all the buzz around deep learning these days, does a library focused on traditional machine learning techniques still, hold up?
That's a good question. And while deep learning is definitely hot right now, traditional machine learning is still very relevant, especially if you're just starting out. Scikit-Learn's strength is in its simplicity and its versatility. It's got algorithms for classification, regression, clustering, you name it.
So it's like having a Swiss Army knife of machine learning tools.
You got it. It's perfect for quick prototyping and for those smaller projects where, honestly, deep learning might just be overkill.
Makes sense. Okay, up next at number 8 is TensorFlow, the brainchild of Google. This one's a heavy hitter, right?
Oh, absolutely. TensorFlow's become a major force in the deep learning world. It's incredibly flexible, can handle everything from small research projects to massive deployments in production environments.
So what makes it so well suited for those big, complex projects, the ones that are really pushing the limits of AI?
Well, one key feature is its support for distributed computing.
Distributed computing.
This means you can train super complex models across multiple GPUs or TPUs.
Okay, remind me, what are those again?
They're like specialized hardware designed specifically for machine learning.
Ah, right. So instead of being limited by the power of a single machine, you can basically harness the power of like a whole bunch of machines to train models on huge data sets.
Precisely. And that ability to scale, it's crucial for tackling those super challenging AI problems.
Okay, that makes sense. No wonder TensorFlow is so popular in both research and industry. Although, I gotta be honest, I always found it a bit intimidating. Is it really that difficult to learn?
It does have a steeper learning curve, that's for sure. But TensorFlow has introduced Keras, a higher-level API, which is a lot more approachable, even for beginners.
Speaking of Keras, it's number 7 on our list.
Keras. Yeah, this is a game changer, especially for those new to deep learning. It sits on top of frameworks like TensorFlow, abstracting away a lot of the complexity.
So it's like, I don't know, a simplified control panel for a complex machine.
You got it. You still have a lot of control, but the interface is much more user-friendly. With Keras, you can quickly put together building blocks, experiment with different model architectures without getting bogged down in all the details.
Sounds like a great balance between ease of use and, real power.
Exactly. It might not have all the bells and whistles for very specialized tasks, but for a wide range of deep learning applications, it's really effective.
Awesome. At number 6, we have Hugging Face, a name that's making waves in the AI community.
Hugging Face. They're all about accessibility in AI. especially in natural language processing. Their Transformers library is like a game changer in that field.
The article mentioned that user-friendliness is a big focus for them. How are they actually making that happen?
One way is their model hub. It's like a library of pre-trained models, ready to go. So say you need a model for text summarization. Instead of building it from scratch, you can grab one from Hugging Face, already trained on a massive amount of data.
Okay, so it's like, I don't know, downloading a pre-built engine instead of having to design one yourself.
Exactly. It's a huge time saver. They're making it so much easier for businesses and developers to use state-of-the-art AI, even if they're not machine learning experts.
I love that. Democratizing AI. Now for number 5 on the list, OpenNN. I'm not as familiar with this one. What's its claim to fame?
OpenN stands for Open Neural Networks, and it's all about performance, efficiency.
Okay, in what way?
It's a C++ library built for speed. So if you're dealing with like massive data sets and you need to train models that make decisions quickly, OpenN is a strong contender.
So like the high-performance sports car of AI frameworks.
Love that analogy. Yeah, it's not the easiest to handle for a beginner, but in the hands of an experienced driver, it can achieve incredible speeds.
Right. The article highlighted its use in applications where processing speed and handling large amounts of data are critical. Like what would be an example of that?
Think of things like real-time fraud detection, financial transactions, you know. You need a system that can analyze tons of data and make decisions in milliseconds to stop fraudulent activity. OpenNN shines in those scenarios.
I see. Onward to number 4, we have another big player, OpenAI.
OpenAI is doing amazing work, really advancing AI technologies, particularly in natural language processing. Their GPT series, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, it's setting a new standard.
GPT is everywhere these days. ChatGPT especially has taken the internet by storm. Why has it become so popular?
OpenAI has made these powerful tools surprisingly accessible, even for people who aren't, deep in the technical weeds. They have a really robust free tier, so individuals, businesses, anyone can experiment with their models.
But I imagine there's got to be a catch. What are the limitations of their free stuff?
Well, you're right. A lot of their more advanced features and the larger models require a paid subscription. It's a smart strategy, caters to both individuals and big organizations, while also funding their research and development.
Makes sense. Seems like they found a good balance between like democratizing AI and actually building a sustainable business.
All right, number 3, PyBrain. This one's a bit more under the radar, it seems. What's its specialty?
PyBrain is all about providing a lightweight, versatile environment for exploring machine learning. Think of it as a playground for researchers and developers who want to play around with different algorithms, really get a deeper understanding of how AI works.
So maybe not the go-to for deploying those complex applications,
Right.
but excellent for learning and experimentation.
Exactly. It's known for its modular design. You can easily build and tweak neural networks. Plus, it supports different learning paradigms, so it's pretty versatile.
Gotcha. And coming in at number 2, a name that carries a lot of weight, IBM Watson. IBM Watson, it's not just one framework. It's more like a whole suite of AI and machine learning services. Tools for natural language processing, computer vision, predictive analytics, all integrated with the power of, IBM Cloud.
And so they're really targeting businesses that are serious about integrating AI into, well, pretty much all aspects of their operations.
Oh, yeah. IBM Watson's very attractive for large organizations that need a robust and reliable platform to build and deploy AI at scale. They have a strong track record, big focus on enterprise-level solutions.
Makes sense. But with all that, I imagine it's probably pretty pricey.
Yeah, their pricing structure might be a hurdle for smaller businesses or startups, but for larger organizations that are looking for that, like one-stop shop for AI and professional consulting services to go with it, IBM Watson is a strong option.
All right, and finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Number 1 on our list of top AI frameworks is Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit.
Microsoft Cognitive Toolkit, or CNTK, is a deep learning framework built for speed and scalability, especially when you're working with multiple GPUs.
So if you need to train complex models quickly and efficiently on really big data sets, CNTK is the way to go.
That's the idea. It's popular with researchers and data scientists who have access to those powerful computing resources.
The article mentioned its Python API. Does that make it more user-friendly than, I don't know, its reputation might suggest?
It does make it easier for developers who already know Python. But compared to some of the more beginner-friendly frameworks we talked about, there's still a bit of a learning curve there.
That makes sense considering its focus on high performance and handling complex tasks. Sounds like a really powerful tool for those tackling those cutting-edge deep learning projects.
Absolutely. And as we've been going through these frameworks, it's become really clear that choosing the right one depends on your specific needs, experience, and what you're actually trying to accomplish. There's no one perfect solution for everyone.
Definitely. But that's also what makes this field so exciting. There's a tool for every job, and it's all about finding the right fit. We've covered a lot of ground already, though, and I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear more about how to navigate this whole landscape of AI frameworks.
Definitely. In the next part of our deep dive, we'll go deeper into how to actually choose the right framework for your specific needs. We'll talk about the factors you need to consider and how to set yourself up for AI success.
Awesome. It's going to be a fascinating discussion, so be sure to join us for part 2 as we continue this deep dive into the world of AI frameworks.
So picking the right AI framework, it's kind of like, I don't know, putting together a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
You need those pieces that fit your specific goals, the challenges you're facing.
Ooh, well, I like that analogy. So where do we even start with this puzzle? What are those key factors we got to consider?
Well, first things first, right? You got to understand your project goals. Like, what are you actually trying to achieve with AI?
Right.
Building a model to, say, predict customer churn, or analyze medical images, or maybe generate some creative text.
All very different things.
Exactly. And each framework, it's got its strengths, its weaknesses. So knowing where you want to end up, that's crucial.
Yeah, it's like planning a road trip. You wouldn't just, set out on a cross-country journey without knowing where you're going.
Exactly. You need a destination.
Yeah,
And once you have that, then you got to think about, okay, what kind of data am I working with?
right. Makes sense.
Is it structured data, like those neat tables and spreadsheets? Or is it unstructured, like text, images, audio?
Yeah, I can see how that would matter.
Some frameworks are better suited for certain types of data. So that's a big factor in narrowing down your choices.
Makes sense. It's like, I don't know, choosing the right vehicle for the terrain.
Yeah.
Right. You wouldn't take a sports car off-roading.
Exactly. You need the right tool for the job.
Mm.
And speaking of tools, another thing to think about is your computational resources.
Like how much computing power we've got.
Yeah. Do you have access to those powerful GPUs, those TPUs we talked about?
Maybe not.
Because some frameworks like TensorFlow, CNTK, they're really designed to take advantage of those resources for faster training, handling those massive data sets.
So if you're working with more limited resources, you might want to go for something a little more lightweight.
Right. Something more efficient. Frameworks like Scikit-Learn, PyDrain, they can be great options, especially when you're starting out or working with smaller data sets.
That's a good point. It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah.
Between the capabilities of the framework and the resources you actually have available. But what about, the learning curve? Some of these frameworks, they sound pretty intimidating, to be honest.
I get it. And that's where community support and documentation come in.
Ah, good point.
Look for frameworks that have active communities, tons of tutorials, good documentation. It's like having a support system, right? Guiding you along the way.
Yeah, it's like learning a new language. It's a lot easier if you have people to practice with, resources to help you out.
Absolutely. And honestly, don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different frameworks, play around with them, see what works best for you, for your project, for your learning style.
So it's not always about finding the best framework overall, but the best one for your specific needs.
Exactly. It's got to feel comfortable, intuitive. And as you get more experience, you'll start to develop a sense of okay, this framework is really good for this type of problem. That one's better for something else,
Yeah, makes sense. But what about those situations where one framework isn't enough? Can you actually combine the strengths of different frameworks?
That's a great question. And yeah, absolutely. It can be a really powerful strategy.
How so? Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say you're working on, I don't know, a natural language processing project. You could use Scikit-Learn for that initial data preprocessing, feature engineering, cleaning the text, extracting those relevant features.
Yeah.
And then you could take that process data and feed it into a deep learning model built with something like Hugging Face or OpenAI, frameworks known for their NLP chops.
So it's like using the right tool for each stage of the project. You wouldn't use a hammer to saw wood, right?
Exactly. You play to the strengths of each tool, and that can create a much more efficient workflow. And as you get more familiar with these frameworks, you can start to get really creative, combine them in interesting ways to solve even those really complex AI challenges.
It's pretty amazing how these frameworks can actually work together, like creating this, I don't know, a more comprehensive AI ecosystem. But beyond the technical side of things, I'm also curious about the bigger picture. How are these frameworks impacting different industries? What's the real world impact?
That's what it's all about, right? These frameworks, they're more than just tools. They're driving real innovation, real change, empowering businesses to do things that were like unthinkable just a few years ago. Automating processes, personalizing customer experiences, optimizing supply chains, even improving healthcare outcomes. The list goes on.
Wow. It sounds like AI is finally living up to its potential, making a real difference.
It is. It's a fundamental shift in how we approach problems, how we make decisions. It's like having this superpower, right? We can analyze huge amounts of data, find patterns, make predictions with incredible accuracy.
It's pretty mind-boggling, all the possibilities. But with all this advancement, it's also important to keep in mind the human element, right? These are tools created by people to be used by people.
Absolutely. AI is about augmenting human capabilities, not replacing us. It's about helping us solve problems, make better decisions, and ultimately create a better world.
I love that perspective. So while it's important to understand the technical stuff, we can't lose sight of the bigger picture. What are we actually trying to achieve?
Right. AI has this incredible potential, but we need to approach it with both, like enthusiasm and a sense of responsibility.
Couldn't agree more. It's a new era of human-machine collaboration, and we get to shape it. But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. As you explore these AI frameworks, ask yourself, how can these technologies impact my life, my community, the world around me?
It's a powerful question. Let's use these tools to create a future we can all be proud of.
Beautiful. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll actually look at some real-world examples, see how these frameworks are being used to solve problems, drive innovation across different industries.
We'll see them in action, tackling those challenges, creating opportunities that were once unimaginable.
Can't wait. Be sure to join us for part 3 as we continue to explore this fascinating world of AI frameworks and their impact on our lives. Welcome back, everyone, for the final part of our AI framework journey. We've talked about what they are, why they matter, but now let's actually see these frameworks out in the wild, tackling real-world problems.
It's always exciting to see how these tools move beyond the theoretical and make a real impact, across different industries.
Totally. Let's start with healthcare. I'm super fascinated by AI in medical diagnosis.
Yeah.
Like, imagine AI helping doctors detect diseases earlier, more accurately. It's like something straight out of science fiction.
It's not sci-fi anymore, it's happening now. Deep learning frameworks like TensorFlow and PyTorch, they're being used to train models on these huge data sets of medical images.
Right.
And these models, they can pick up on these subtle patterns that even the most experienced doctor might miss.
So it's like having an extra set of eyes, but like super powered by AI. They can see things that we might just completely overlook.
Exactly. Think about it. This has huge implications for early detection. Like with cancer, where catching it early can be, well, life-saving.
That's incredible. And what about other areas of healthcare? Where else is AI making a difference?
Well, personalized medicine is a big one.
Personalized medicine.
Imagine treatments tailored specifically to you. Your genes, your lifestyle, your medical history. AI can analyze all that data, help doctors create a plan just for you.
Wow. So it's like maximizing the effectiveness of your treatment, minimizing side effects, all thanks to AI.
Exactly. AI is revolutionizing healthcare, but it doesn't stop there. Let's switch gears for a second, talk about finance.
Okay, yeah.
Fraud detection, that's another area where AI is making a big splash.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
Oh.
Banks using AI to, protect our accounts from fraudsters.
Exactly. These algorithms, they can analyze tons of transaction data in real time and flag anything suspicious.
So it's like having, I don't know, an army of digital detectives constantly watching our accounts, making sure everything's legit.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And these AI systems, they can spot those tiny little anomalies that humans might miss, potentially saving billions of dollars in losses.
It sounds like AI is becoming essential for keeping our financial systems secure.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond fraud detection. AI can also assess risk, give investment recommendations, even personalize financial advice based on your goals, your risk tolerance.
Wow, that's a lot of power. But what about the downsides, like job displacement? Are these AI systems going to replace human workers in finance?
It's a valid concern, for sure. But it's important to remember that AI, it's a tool.
Right.
Like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
It's up to us to make sure it's used responsibly.
So it's not about replacing humans, but figuring out how we can work together.
Exactly. AI can handle those repetitive tasks, free up human workers to focus on things that require creativity, empathy, critical thinking.
That's a much better outlook. Collaboration, not replacement. Okay, let's jump to another industry, retail.
Oh, retail's fascinating. AI is transforming it in so many ways, from how we shop to how businesses actually operate.
I know we've got those personalized product recommendations online, powered by AI, but what else is going on?
Well, AI-powered chatbots are becoming super common for customer service.
Oh, yeah.
They can answer your questions, give product info, even help you complete a purchase.
So instead of waiting on hold forever, you can just chat with an AI, get instant support.
Exactly. And these chatbots are getting smarter all the time, understanding natural language, having real
Like
conversations.
having your own personal shopping assistant,
Uh,
available 24/7. But what about, the human touch? Do we lose something when it's all AI?
there's definitely value in human interaction,
Hmm.
but AI can actually enhance the customer experience in a lot of ways.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Think about it. More personalized service, faster, more efficient, happy customers.
Right. It's about using AI to complement that human interaction, not replace it. What other cool AI things are we seeing in retail?
Well, how about cashierless stores?
Cashier.
Yeah, walk in, grab what you need, walk out. No checkout lines, no fumbling with your card.
Wait, that's real. Sounds like magic. How does that even work?
It's a combo of cameras, sensors, and AI algorithms all working together, tracking shoppers, tracking purchases.
So when you leave, it just charges your account automatically.
Exactly, a totally seamless shopping experience.
Wow. It really seems like AI is changing retail in some incredible ways.
It is. And it's not just for the big guys either. There are all these AI tools and platforms that are now accessible to smaller businesses too,
Ah, that's great.
giving them the power to personalize marketing, optimize pricing, understand their customers better.
So AI is kind of leveling the playing field, giving those smaller businesses a chance to really compete.
Exactly. It's an exciting time to be a part of all this. But as with any powerful technology, we got to be responsible.
That's a really important point. It's not just about what AI can do, but how we choose to use it. Ethically, fairly, transparently.
Couldn't agree more. It's on all of us, developers, policymakers, business leaders, everyone, to work together to make sure AI is used for good.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the world of AI frameworks, what they can do, how they're being used, and we've talked about the ethical stuff too, which is so important. It's clear that AI isn't some far-off thing anymore. It's here, it's now, and it's shaping our world in some pretty amazing ways.
Absolutely. It's been a fantastic journey, and I hope everyone listening feels inspired to keep learning about this ever-changing world of AI. It's moving fast.
It really is. And as we wrap up this episode, here's one final thought-provoking question for you all. How do you see AI shaping your future? What opportunities do you see? What challenges? And how can you be a part of shaping this exciting new world? That's all for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.